Hello, everyone. It's Melina and
Jordan.
And we are the board certified BCBAs.
Bays, we back.
We're so excited. This is technically season 3 for us. And if you're new here, so
Welcome.
is everyone else. We've just been talking to ourselves for the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, it takes some time to get to know how to do this thing.
Yeah. So, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
To start this over again. It's fun. Get to talk with my bae. Ta-da.
Yes.
Get to talk about what we do every day.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
and hopefully make a difference.
We're coming to you with this episode of for those that are just now following us, who are we, but / updates. So bear with us. It'll be probably a quick little episode just so that you can kind of get to know us if you're new here. So I'll start.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Melina. I am a former teacher. I am a BCBA on maternity leave. So that is something that has happened since the last time we filmed. We had a baby.
Yep, we sure did.
And she came a little early. So I thought I still had 2 weeks to work. And she was like, nope, it's time, Mom. So so congratulations to us.
Yeah. Team no sleep for a while.
Yeah, we are tired, but we are happy. Pretty little girl. And it's been nuts. So we'll get into that story in just a bit. But yeah, I am a former teacher. I am a BCBA. And I am currently training to be a doula too, which is exciting to add to my little bag of tricks. So I've always been passionate about kids, passionate about equity, inclusion, making sure that people feel loved and heard and seen. And so I feel like all those things kind of come together in all those roles that I've played. I miss work a little bit, but also I'm also loving being a mommy.
Yeah, but
and really just focusing on that part. So that's me in kind of a snapshot. And Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really hard to follow that because there aren't as many credentials behind my name that count. So, hi, I'm Jordan. I am a BCBA. I was one first, so I guess that's under my belt. And then I helped her study, and she helped me study. I kind of grew up in this field, not necessarily ABA, but in the field of disability and services. And that kind of helped shape me. Are you from these parts? Am now. So I'm from Australia, and that's where I got my experience first. But I started working with adults more than I did with kids, so it gave me a different perspective of what things can look like if we don't target them as early as we can now. So that part's kind of exciting. And, I have this beautiful woman beside me every day because we work together. So we work together, we live together, we play together, we record podcasts together, we do everything together.
Because we don't get enough time together.
That's true. And when we have time together, we're doing stuff together.
Like taking care of our children.
Yes. So it's all good stuff. There is absolutely no sarcasm in that, despite how my voice probably sounded.
Yeah.
It's actually real.
And even though we're extremely different, we obviously have a lot of similarities as well when it comes to passions. And I think overall we just care for people and want to make a difference somehow, some way. So yeah, that's kind of us in a snapshot. But really quick, we're going to just kind of deep dive into how we've been applying ABA in the past few months to our own lives and what that's been looking like.
I think that's a big thing too, is ABA is not just something that we do with the clients, the kids, or the adults that we serve. It's applied. We can do it to ourselves. We can do it to each other. We help each other. It's not a perfect science in terms of that you can't make mistakes. It has to be this way all the time, every time. And we take that into account, and we're honest about ourselves because there's times where we'll look at each other and be like, probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
A lot of trial and error, just in marriage and in parenting and in friendship and in all those things.
Yeah. And we make mistakes, and we're not afraid to face them and share them.
I mean, sometimes it takes a second to actually admit to it personally, but I agree.
I guess that's with both of us. That's anybody, right? This is a psychology field, and we all preserve ourselves first. Yeah. So it takes some actual thinking and processing to come to the conclusion that we made a mistake.
Yep. So again, we just want to go over a few ways that we've kind of used the skills that we've learned as BCBAs and applying them into like our real lives. So like we mentioned, we recently had a baby. She was actually due June 2nd.
Yes.
We went into our doctor's appointment on May 10th, and they said, you know what, she's kind of like needing to come out right now, to put it frank. So my induction date was on the 12th. So
Mother's Day.
Might
not be that Mother's Day when you are listening to this, but
yeah. So a little bit about me is I've always kind of struggled with anxiety, thinking about the future, right? A lot of that causes a lot of stress for me. So I would say that ABA was one of like the most helpful tools that I had when it came to this. Obviously, I have gone to therapy and things like that, and so that has helped as well. But I think that my like proactive skills kind of just kicked into play when they were saying like, okay, well actually we're gonna do this now, and I'm like, okay, because if you know me, I'm like kind of granola crunchy. Yes, I know.
What does that even mean?
It means like hippie, like kind of like natural. Like I'm like very like natural, but also I respect science and I respect medicine, but I'm like kind of in the middle. So I'm like, let me do as much as I can.
Where does granola come into that?
It's a saying. I don't know how to explain it, but for those who know, they know. So anyways, so I kind of just like jumped into like my proactive skills. So like, okay, let's figure this out. What do I need to do to be able to make this the most successful intervention-free birth as possible? So we kind of already just jumped onto it. Like, okay, we need some like preemie onesies. We need some preemie diapers. We need to do these I needed to curb walk, but I just walked a lot. These workouts and all these things. So just making sure that on the proactive side, we did all that we could to try to make it as smooth as possible. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, trying to be proactive. There's a lot of news that you get, especially when you go to the doctor, that you don't necessarily expect to receive. And so it was a lot of information really quick. So even like the processing time was probably a lot slower than we normally would, because it's just the pure amount of content that we were given on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. And it wasn't like it was presented as a choice. It was like, do this or something might really bad like happen to your kid. And it was like, okay, cool. So yeah, again, we just kind of jumped into, it was reactive in the sense of we weren't ready for it, but we were proactive in the sense of, okay, we have 2 days to prep for this situation.
Yeah.
So we got there.
Definitely weren't ready. So we had a lot to do in 48 hours.
And we have a 2-year-old, so
less than 48 hours. Making
sure we had, grandma come and something for the dog, like where do we put the dog? And do we have the car seats ready? Do we have the bedrooms ready? Like just all the things, right? Luckily, again, it's our second one, so we kind of knew as far as like the basics of day one, what do we need to have ready?
Yeah, and that was kind of our base point.
Yeah.
Just knowing that.
Yeah.
We already had a pretty good baseline because we had a 2-year-old. So we'd been through it before.
And again, this is really reflective of like, this is kind of not different, but in the sense of every day we go into work, it looks different. Right? So like you can have this great plan of how your session's going to go, and then it completely goes left, right? Like client comes in and is like impacted and has a stomach ache. So maybe we can't push them as hard, or maybe they didn't get the right amount of sleep. So now you got to change your plan, right? So I think it kind of was just like, because the job that we have has trained me to be flexible in those ways, it's helped me to also be able to adapt better when it comes to like, I'm going to have my baby naturally. I'm going to go da-da-da. And then it's like, just kidding.
Yeah. So. I think I agree with you. I think we always have a plan for our sessions, but we do have to be extremely flexible. And things can go the opposite direction at any point. But I think the thing that being a part of ABA and making this difference really helps us with is being able to, recalibrate, recalculate, and then like keep pushing with what it is that we have by just making some major adjustments to try and get back on track. So yeah, we were early and all that, but in terms of everything else, apart from the way that it was happening, we were still able to be like, okay, these are the changes that we need to be able to do to adapt to this situation, which is, really important when we're thinking about the kids or the adults that we serve, in the sense of, like there are going to be setbacks all the time.
Yep.
And we have to be able to plan a therapy or prepare interventions for those kids or adults to know how to handle when those things happen, and then be able to generalize that to any other situation that might happen, which, it kind of put in practice for us. One of the key areas of ABA that I love so much is just that functional like skills of, we're going to appointments. Like this was a doctor's appointment that did not go the way that we were anticipating it to go.
Yeah, and Jordan was like totally in like a jokey phase that day. Like, have you ever had anyone go into labor while they're here? And I'm sitting there like, he's like, what? I'm like, listen, I need you to like.
Yeah, so I had to read my social cues because I was getting put on extinction really quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
And punished.
No.
And so
yeah,
I get in touch and she's like, get off. All right. I was like, my interaction was punished there. So I was like, okay, so make a joke about this right now. But either way, all of the things that we, help our clients with go into practice for us all of the time. It just looks different. And I think that, when we have that kind of view and that perspective and we take a step back, it makes things a little bit easier for us when we're making decisions clinically, because we can't be so rigid about like, we have to make sure we have this many trials. It's going to be of this. It's going to look like this, because real life doesn't look that way. If we don't start with the basis of like what real life looks like, we end up falling short so many times. Like how many things can go right at a dentist, but how many things can go wrong at a dentist? How do you plan for that? Sitting there and matching the color red isn't going to do that.
That's another example I have of the things that happened in the past few months. I had like dental work done and they were like, do you want to go to sleep? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, then we got to reschedule. And I couldn't. So what did I do? I was like, I have headphones. I'm going to pop those bad boys in so I can't hear all the craziness, because dentists and me are just like, no. Anyways, back to this story. Another thing that I utilized was my communication skills. It's really hard to like really communicate vocally when you're in labor and it's like the intense parts of it. But I feel like because like
we're bays and in sync.
Yeah, we're in sync. But also like we had a doula too, so she doesn't know me like you know me, right? But like there were just different things that like I knew I needed to communicate so that I could still achieve the birth to the closest plan that I wanted. Whether it be like, okay, I need like a heat pad right now, like I'm gonna tell you. But like when I couldn't talk and the nurse was trying to like be basically gaslight me and be like, are you sure you need to push? And I'm like over here like throwing up hand signals, like I just need to communicate with her because like she needs to understand what, like I'm serious right now. Ends up being the baby was coming and I needed to push. So like things like that where like communication in those moments, whether it be to my doula, whether it be to my husband, whether it be to the nurses, the doctors, whoever it is, was so important through that whole process, whether it be vocally, whether it be pointing to something, whether it be like, like saying no, like just all those skills that I feel like, again, I developed a lot as I was going through the process of becoming a BCBA, because I was always timid and not like speaking up and not, but like in this role, you have to be able to do that. Not just advocating for yourself, but advocating for your clients, your staff, right? And so I feel like that all the skills that I've learned to become a supervisor has helped me actually be able to advocate for myself as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild time.
Yeah, so.
It's a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah.
But it worked. Knowing you so well, having the doula know you as well, we were able to, communicate the needs that needed to be met, which is also something that we go through on a daily basis, right? Like we have kids that are nonverbal, and this is not the same in any way, so I'm not trying to say that, but, teaching a level or ways to communicate under duress or like stress, frustration, right? That's a big deal. And I've never gone through labor and never will. But no thanks. But the amount of pain and difficulty going through transition and getting ready to push and stuff really limited her ability to communicate because of the focus on breathing and other things that were there that had to take that mental capacity.
Giving up.
Yeah. Right. And so being able to, read the signs of the communication that we did have, knowing each other as well as we did. Right. And it really makes me think at times about how like families adjust to the communication of, their child or their adult. Right.
Or even staff, like a staff that knows their client very well. Someone jumps into sub and they're like, I don't know what they're trying to tell me, and it's like the regular staff would have known right away, like, oh, he needs water, or she needs to go to the bathroom, or
absolutely. And it just puts that emphasis on making sure that there is a level of functional communication that's present, even in those times or those stressful situations, that something can be communicated in a way that majority of people are going to understand, that are in that environment or that are going to be in that environment for that individual, because environments change all of the time, but you're not necessarily saying that you need to have a lifeguard be able to know what this hand signal means, right? But at least the people that are with them the most do need to know, because when you do have that substitute, BI or BT in there, that makes it difficult for them to pick up on those communications, because they might not know them as well, which also means that we might not be teaching them as well, which then reflects back on a BCBA. Is like, okay, did we put those into the behavior plans, the communication plans, right? Have we, you keep taking those steps back and like, have we, accounted for this? Are we teaching something else to try and replace that so it's more obvious to more people, and so on and so forth? But it did create this, cool opportunity for us to really like see, even though it's not the same, but just see the importance of functional communication in a way that at least one of us in the room was able to understand.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where we've been.
Trying to sleep.
Yeah. So, bear with us. So if you see caffeine in the next few episodes, that's why, because that's tired. But it's been a really sweet time too, and just really prioritizing rest in this season is very different than the first time when I was starting back at work. The first time around, I had just gotten my BCBA, and so I was very eager to come back to work. I did a little too much, so been really trying to just take my time this time and enjoy it. But I do miss it a lot, and I'm excited to come back soon-ish.
Yeah, make these cool episodes that we're going to put together.
Yeah. So anyways, that's us. That's where we've been. That's how we've been applying ABA into our lives in the past few months.
That's just one area that we've been applying ABA in the last few months. But it's a big one because it's a major change that's happened. But we apply it all the time.
And also, again, keep us in your thoughts, because we've also been potty training a 2-year-old. So it's been a lot.
Yep. We do it at work. We do it at home.
Yeah. So, yeah. But thank you guys for listening to this episode. And we're excited to be back and chatting with you guys again. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, whatever day you're watching this.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed. Looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye for now.